Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the Higher Moment Mastermind. I'm Cheryl Lotzar, happy to be your host. Joined by Vern Schellinger, Vern Wave. Vern is my sidekick here, and he is a experienced career coach and a former HR executive. I'm a career coach and a recruiter, and we have all kinds of tips to share with you guys. So this is just an open Q&A. Ty and Shalom have been here a number of times. Dietmar and Maggie, welcome.
Thank you.
So who would like to start out with a job search question? Or just a topic?
Well, I'll just throw this out here, and I know this is relative to each individual. Can you talk about maybe the pace or how many network contacts you should be making a week, how many resumes should be going out? I know that's all relative to the individual in the industry, but maybe you can make some general comments on that.
Vern, do you have a particular response to this?
I don't think there's a set number, like for networking contacts. I mean, the more the better, but there's only 24 hours in each day. And, obviously you want to be, reaching out to as many people as you can. And there's other parts to the job search. And obviously, let's suppose you have, an interview in a given week. You're going to focus a lot of your time and hours on the interview, right? And so you won't have time to reach out to people. So I don't know that there's and number of resumes. It really depends on, is this a job? If you find a bunch of jobs that you're really good for, then you'll send out a bunch of resumes. And other weeks you might not send out any. So
yeah, I'm about quality and quantity. Okay. Yeah. So it's really not just quantity, but do never think that way. But it has to be quality and quantity. And not just quality either, right? That the analogy I think I gave it yesterday on the CNM call about being a farmer, right? A farmer does not plant the exact number of seeds that he expects to get in a harvest. He plants a whole lot more because there are a lot of them that are going to be eaten by the birds and taken by the wind and all that stuff. But every seed he does plant wants to be a quality seed in good soil, but there's lots of them, but only some of them are going to sprout. So your job is to be as thoughtful as you possibly can be around which people you connect with, but make sure there's lots of them, right? So you want to try to have, I know it sounds, very ambitious to say this, but, try to have a Zoom call a week. I'm sorry, not a week, a Zoom call a day and a Zoom coffee with people, right? It's kind of like going to the gym. If you say you want to go 3 times a week, you say 5, so if you go 3. Right. If you commit to 5, you're only going to go 3 times. If you commit to 3 times, you're only going to go once. Right. So you have a lot of networking, connections, and then see who will, who's open to meeting with you, during the week. And, on Tuesday, I think I mentioned yesterday, I'm going to be giving a presentation called Accessing the Hidden Job Market. I'll be doing that on CNM. Okay. So all of you, I know Dietmar and Shalom are, Sandra and Maggie and Ty, you're familiar with CNM, you know how to get there. Okay. So I'll actually, I'll look it up while we're anybody who's watching the recording. And in fact, if one of you wants to go grab the meetup link for CNM and put it in the chat, that would be great. Anyway, so that presentation, I'm going to go through my whole family tree networking, which I've done on this call before sometimes, twins, siblings, first cousins, and second cousins. In fact, Vern, I'm not sure if you would be available.
When is it?
That night, it's going to be at 8 o'clock on Tuesday night. And I ask you, Vern, because, Vern is a networking expert himself, and he has a whole concept, around networking, around, kind of who to network with. So mine is called the family tree. You call it like the 6 A's or something?
Well, it's actually called the stages of building trust.
Yeah.
And you build trust over time, depending on the conversation you have and the relationship you've developed with the person. So think of it, I'll give you 2 quick examples. We all have accidents. We bump into people and we have these conversations with them. Very rarely do those conversations lead anywhere, but they happen, and sometimes they can lead somewhere. But those are pretty transactional in most cases. At the other end of the spectrum, we have, and so as Shira said, these are all A's, actives, acquaintances, associates. At the other end of the spectrum, there's advocates. And advocates are people that you've developed a trust-based relationship with. They trust you, you trust them. And the whole purpose of that kind of diagram is to talk about how do you build trust? How do you create an advocate in your network? And when you trust someone and they trust you, you help them, they help you, and they're always thinking about you, and you're always thinking about them if something comes up that you think might be of interest to them.
Exactly.
And so as a job seeker, the more advocates you have that know you and they see an opportunity and they know enough about you to say, wow, that opportunity would be great for Maggie. I got to call her. I mean, those are the type of people that you really want in your network.
Yeah. And so, and so Vern has this whole list of all the different A's, and I have a whole list of all the family tree members. So I encourage you guys to come and talk and really listen to that, because tied to your question, you really want to be thoughtful about who you're connecting with. So for example, people who, and I've talked about this before, people who do what you do, right? Because the people who do what you do are likely to hear about opportunities that are not right for them, but they're right for you. Then there's also the people who know you, like you, and trust you. And hopefully those are two of the same people, but they may not be. People who are your champions, right? People who really want to advocate for you. And so it's important to have those folks, really know what you're looking for. And those folks could be across the board. They could be people who are in your sector, people who do what you do. They could be neighbors and friends and family and all those people too. But the bottom line is those are the folks who are going to run out and say, hey, Ty, I'm looking for you. I'm happy. I want to help you. They're going to, right? They're really going to spend their time, right, thinking about you and thinking about your job search, because you never know where your next networking contact can come from, right? In terms of resumes, again, I'm not a huge believer in the job boards. I mean, you can certainly, people do get jobs there, and you can post your resume. It's okay. But don't spend all your waking hours looking at the job boards, because there's so much competition, right? Most people, 80% plus of people, get their jobs through networking, right? So I wouldn't worry as much about the resumes. I focus much more on the resume, on the networking. Other questions?
I have a question. Sorry, you lifted your arm first. So.
Oh. So what I'm dealing with right now is I have been in the nonprofit sector and have done events in the nonprofit sector. It's mainly been through fundraising, and I'm trying to transition to just events, whether nonprofit or for-profit sector now. But boy, that can vary. I mean, it is one thing to do a fundraising banquet and then get a job with a for-profit business doing conferences with breakout sessions.
Sure.
I've never done that before.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sure it's very complicated. I'm sure I could figure it out, but I am just struggling with the whether I think I can do it or not. So I'm in the middle of an interview, a face-to-face interview,
Mm-hmm.
and they're telling me about what they want to do. And I'm like, oh my gosh, I don't know if I can do that. I don't know if I can do that. Oh dear. And what happened was, as they presented what it was they were looking for, it was new. It's new to them.
Mm-hmm.
They've never done events before, and they are wanting to do a 2-tier events. Now, I think I could do 1 tier. The other tier, I've never done before. I'm not sure why they want to do it that way. So I've made it through the phone interview. I've made it through the in-person interview, and he says he'll be contacting me for a panel interview next week. So I have just been wrestling with, do I feel capable of whether I can do this or not? So what I want to do is just say, tell me the why behind why you want to do this. What is it you're wanting to accomplish?
Mhm.
Why are you wanting to do these two new things at the same time?
Mhm.
Why wouldn't you want to establish one before you started the other? But here I am questioning what he wants to do. And if it's to do both, I don't think I can do it. Now, if it's one and I can do it at my pace and my stages, I could do it. So,
Look,
um,
Maggie, you want, there's a balance between what you feel capable of and what's realistic for just the job. Um, you may want to just be honest with him and say, look, that is not something that I have done before. I can learn it, but there is going to be a learning curve. And I would need your patience with that. And the other thing, Maggie, you can do is talk to meeting planners. There's a lot of corporate meeting planners out there who might be perfectly willing to help you with this. So for example, there are a couple of major associations. One is called MPI, Meeting Planners International. Another one is called PCMA, what is this called? Something Professional Convention I forget what the P stands for, but the C is like Convention Management Associations. And anyways, PCMA. Those are two national associations that have, I know that MPI has a local chapter called PMPI. In any event, these are associations of meeting planners, right? And they're they're friendly people and they're happy to network, right? And share ideas. So I would recommend strongly that you reach out to one or both of them and just talk to some folks and say, look, this is what I'm being asked to do. How complicated is this? Right? Is this just what are the skills that I'm going to need for it? Just so at least you know what you're getting into before deciding that you can't do it, right? Understand what's involved so that you can, so that you can make a good determination. And then on top of that, to be open with the employer about, your skill level and the learning curve you're going to have.
Yeah, so this is just another example of networking, Maggie. Just reaching out to these people and asking them for an informational interview. I'd like to talk to you about event planning and as Shira said, learn as much as you can about them. If you have advocates in your network, one of the first things I would do if I was in your position, I'd be calling all of my advocates and I'd be saying, do you know anybody who's, an expert in event planning? And if they say yes, then it's a pretty easy introduction for them to introduce you to somebody who's an expert in event planning, and you can have an informational interview with them. The more you can, bulk up and get as much information prior to this interview, I think it'll help build your confidence, I would hope. And you go in there and say, look, I can do this first thing, but second thing would be a stretch for me. But here's what I've learned. Here's what I believe I could do. But that's the way you would present it to them in the interview.
Because another recruiter friend of mine was saying, work on getting the job first, and then you can talk with them about, this is how I think we should plan it, laid out in stages and so forth. And I thought, well, then you don't want to get fired at that point if you're not doing it the way he wants to do. Although I think what he's asking is impossible even for a professional. But he was saying to get the job first and then, handle all the rest in a conversation. Because
I wouldn't agree with that because you want to set yourself up for success and you want to be realistic with the employer, right? They're investing time in you, you're investing time in them. And you want to, you don't just get the job. I mean, because you're spending your waking days doing this, right? So you need to feel comfortable with the role and comfortable you can handle it, comfortable you want to handle it.
Yeah. And one of the things you said earlier, Maggie, is you wanted to ask them why. And that's a great interviewing technique. The more you ask them, the more you question them and you hear from them exactly why they want to do it. You're in a better position to okay, I think I can do that or I can't do that and be honest with them. But it also may create other questions or ideas in your mind about, well, I know you want to do it this way. Have you thought about this? So it's just a better way to approach it that way than, as Shira said, you want to set yourself up for success. And at the end of the day, when you go through this, you've got to be, you know, pretty confident that, okay, I know it, I know the second thing's going to be a stretch, the second tier, if they decide to do that. But the first tier, I feel pretty confident and I can go and do that. And if you go in and accomplish the first tier successfully, then you've built the reputation that Maggie is a, you know, is a competent person, and she can, you know, she's really put a great first event together. And then you're more likely to be able to work with them to figure out whatever the second event is, or whether you should do it at all or change it or whatever.
Maggie, one of the things that I'm hearing you saying, you don't know how to do it. I guess my question is, would you like to learn how to do it in order to expand your skills? Because if the answer is yes, then this job may present a great opportunity for you to grow with the organization. But it's a great opportunity if they haven't done it and you want to learn how to do it. You know, back to what Shira said, be, you know, straightforward. You know, don't tell them that you've got something you don't, but you can say, you know, I've researched, I know this organization, I've already reached out to them. I'm already gaining ideas on how we might approach this. I mean, there's a lot of ways, there's a lot of different ways you can approach it. But it depends. It's part of it is what you want, what you think you can do. The other part is, what do you want to do? You know, and those are two very different questions.
Yeah, concerning interviewing, I have interviewed many applicants myself, and the candidates we have chosen were never the ones who bragged that they can do everything and they are champion and so wonderful. I think the winning strategy in an interview is to be realistic, tell them what you can do and where you would be willing to learn and acquire more skills. I think that gives you a much stronger position than the person who says, yes, I can do it. And then later on the job, they will find out that is all not true. And then it may end your appointment.
Right. Better to be honest.
And Maggie, I think it's important also that you give examples of other things that you've tackled and done for the first time, or new ventures, so that you can show them that you're willing to tackle this if you haven't done it before.
Was that helpful, Maggie?
Huh?
Was that helpful?
Yes. I think there are just so many questions that need to be asked yet to fully understand what it is they are wanting and whether I even think it's possible what he's asking. But, you know, the next interview is with a panel. And since they don't have this department, there's not going to be anybody there for me to ask this information of.
Yeah.
It's going to be, you know, just various members of the team, you know, the accountant and so forth, I guess. And I'm like, what are they going to know about this new endeavor? And then the last interview is with him. Maybe it's at that interview I would be able to ask deeper questions, but it's like I'm not sure that he knows enough of this to know what he's doing. So for me to ask him and then say, you
Well,
know,
understand too, Maggie, if he's not able to answer these questions in the interview, he may not be able to answer them on the job. In which case,
Yeah.
how is your onboarding going to be? How are you even going to know what you're supposed to be doing? Right. And if you don't feel like you have the experience for it, then it's kind of the blind leading the blind, right?
Yeah.
You go down the job and he doesn't know what to tell you and you don't really know how to help him. And so then it could be, right. I would actually ask for another meeting with him before the panel interviews to say you have more questions for him.
I think if he does contact me for sure for the next interview, I'll ask him for a job description because I'm.
Oh, he hasn't given you a job description. Oh, well, there you go.
Yeah, I mean, the questions that are coming to my mind, okay, you know, you want to do this second event, and tell me the objective. What are you hoping to accomplish? And how are you, and again, obviously, if you ask, how do you plan to do this? He sounds like he doesn't know. So, yeah.
Maggie, I think what you could ask each of the panel members is how do you see yourself, this position relating to it? Like what is their role? How are you going to interact? What's the interaction going to be between them and you? Are you supporting them at all with this role?
Or how can they support you in the role? So this is a brand new position? Yeah, and there's no job description?
Because they don't know enough. They may not know enough about it, or may have not taken the time to research what the job description should. It's hard to know. But the other good part is, I mean, I'm trying to find some positives in it, is that you might have the opportunity to help them craft that job description. So with your background and knowledge, so it can either be, for me, it's a glass half full or a glass half empty. And if it's a baseline position, different people have different personality types. Me, I would jump all over that, because I'd be getting on the phone and calling and being able to shape it and grow it. Okay. The other side is, other people are more comfortable walking into position with the job completely, it's already determined. And as a new employee, you can walk in and you can measure, what your success is. So, it depends on what makes you comfortable, and where you're going to feel secure in your position. And the unknown, for some people, they're not comfortable with that. And there is nothing wrong with that. It just depends on, what's going to work best for you. So, that would be, in addition to the other recommendations, that may be just a point of self-reflection for you, to decide, which type of situation is a better fit for you.
And at the end of the interview, you should, if the interview has gone well, you're excited about the job, you feel good about the job, you should ask for the job. And based on what Pam just said, she gave you a great kind of, I'm so excited about this opportunity because I'm going to get this to build, I'm going to be able to build this from the ground up with, with the help of, my colleagues and you, and we'll work, towards making this a great success, something like that.
Yeah, I think from the research I've done, he's probably within the last year been promoted to his position. So I don't know how new his whole job is, much less tackling on a whole new department. How realistic his vision is.
What is his title, Maggie? Is he the CEO or? Okay, well, a good CEO surrounds themselves with wise advisors. Okay, and so if this is coming in as the next tier within the organization, if he's the CEO and he has a vision, and so his vision is he wants to do two things, the things you've described. That doesn't mean the switch has to flip and it's all going to happen tomorrow. You get into really looking at strategic planning and setting the goals, and how much time is it going to take for us to do this and do this well? Because if this is part of his vision as a new CEO, I can promise you he wants them to be successful. And so he is going to, if he's wise, he surrounds himself with wise people to give him counsel and advise him on how to make his vision successful. Okay, and so that may be, you may be, I don't know how you find out, maybe Werner sure have a good question, but how does he work with his second line advisors? That'd be something. Is he going to be open to your input, or, and that's not the way you ask the question. I can't think of how to do it right now, but you kind of want to try to get some insights on, is he just, this is what I want, and who cares if you think it can work or not, or how can I best put this this vision that I have, what's the best type of implementation plan? And I think that's an important thing to know.
I think it's along the lines, Maggie, of what you started out with, is asking him questions about his why. You know, what does he hope to achieve with these meetings? What is his purpose? Get him talking about that. And the actual logistics of the meeting, you guys can talk it through. Breakouts, no breakouts, whatever. But as long as you understand his strategy, what is and the outcomes that he's trying to achieve from these meetings, you can give in your backup, because you have done meetings and you've done fundraising meetings, right? Which means you understand logistics, is that right? Yeah. So a meeting is a meeting is a meeting, whether it's for fundraising purposes or for anything else. Hotel contract is a hotel contract. BEO is a BEO. AV is AV. Like, you know, like all of that's the same. It's just for a different purpose. So I think you just need to ask him more questions around what he's looking to achieve, and then see if you can strategize around ideas for how to help him get there.
Yeah, and the other question, in addition to, you know, what does he hope to achieve? How will you know, you know, how do you have any idea of how you would measure the success of this? And I mean, maybe it's gaining more clients. I mean, maybe it's a clear, but if they can't answer that, that's another, okay, then I need to help you figure out, if we're going to do this, we need to figure out, you know, what does success look like if we do this event?
Asked me what's the largest event you've ever done, and I said 500, and he said, well, what if it's 5,000? And I said, oh, it's all basic, like Sherry, you just said, you know, it's all the basic, you know, you still have registration, you still have ticket sales, you still have the basics, but there is a level of complication, whether you need security, whether you need valet parking, whether you need
Well,
all
not only
these
that,
other
but more staff
layers.
too. If you're gonna have, was it just
Yeah.
one, not to get so deep into this, sorry, guys. We should probably have an offline conversation, but bottom line is, you're right. I think that you need to ask him what he wants and then see if he's gonna have enough staff, because the bigger the meeting, the more staff he sometimes needs. So in any event, we'll table this part.
Can I say one thing real quick?
What, Kelly?
I would just say, if we're gonna have 5,000, I think probably need some more staff, but I'm ready for the challenge, and hopefully
Right.
with your work and other people in the office, we'll get this thing done for you. Very
Right.
positive, optimistic.
Yeah, just let him know what you can do, you know, and just strategize with him around resources.
Would it be wise or a waste of time to go in with some sort of plan, like maybe a bit premature, but just some sort of plan to show that I've thought this out, and that I think we should do it in stages, because if this isn't successful, this isn't, and go ahead and get
Potentially.
into all that, or is that too early?
It's a little too early because you don't know enough yet. You need to
Okay.
have another conversation with him and ask him all the questions you can possibly ask from what he wants, why he wants it, what his outcomes are anticipated, and then I'd lay something out. Yes, I mean, actually is a good thing to do, but you'd proffer it to him like, hey, here's a possibility. What do you think? Not here's what I am going to do. Here's what we could do. And what do you think about that?
All right, thank you.
Okay, other questions, other topics? Dietmar?
Yeah, I attended Bob's meeting yesterday, and he strongly promoted using the referral process. As a matter of fact, he wrote me 1/3 of the people get the job by way of referrals. Somebody in the company uses the program to help you get noticed in the application process. So I have used that before, and I have just tried it yesterday. So I contacted a former coworker, and that coworker has probably not looked for a job for 15 years, I would say. So not familiar at all. But he was very, well, probably taken aback by the thought, I should give Dietmar an unbounded advantage in the application process. Why doesn't he do just what everybody does, send an application and then take it from there? So it may sound easy in the textbook, get all your friends and let them send out a referral, but the practice is those who attend groups like this are aware of that, but most people don't, and they kind of don't understand that. So I even mentioned to him he could probably get a reward for referral, but also for a person of integrity, that didn't seem right to him, that get money for referring somebody. So how would you confront these objections?
I would just go on and move on and get someone else. I was just personally want to help you out. There are other people will. I've been looking for a job. I had for about a year, and 9 out of 10 people wanted to help you out. People that didn't, and I'm telling you, move on. But you can't get hung on this person. You got to move on. It just this person's not he's not willing. But most people will help you out. That's what that's what this world is about. Is helping people out. This person's not there. Yeah, that's my opinion.
And let me go back to what I said earlier about the stages of building trust. How well did you know this person? How well did this person know you?
He was my former co-worker, so he knows me very well.
How
He has
long?
given me stellar references in the past, so it's no problem of trust. But certain people just don't think it is fair to give somebody an advantage like this.
Yeah, that I know. Yeah.
Go ahead, Shira.
Yeah, so I know what you're talking about, Dietmar, and actually there are some people now who are bringing this topic and under the auspices of equity. Okay, is it equitable and is it fair to have people refer you in? This is a challenge. This is a topic that I think needs to be looked at in the hiring world. Frankly, the way that it has typically been done is through referrals and through networking. And yes, that does give people an unfair advantage depending upon who you know and who you don't know. So somebody, for example, who has no connections to that company, yes, is it an unfair advantage? Can be at an unfair advantage based on relative to somebody who does. Particularly people who maybe come from marginalized backgrounds, who may not have as strong of a network, what have you. So I think what you're bringing up is very reasonable. You're not the only person I've heard talk about this. The way that it's currently done is very much networking based. Will we get to a point where hiring managers and HR people say, no, we're not going to listen to, our trusted colleagues and all of this for a referral and everybody kind of has a level playing field? It might come to that point. That's not where we are right now. So I just put that out there. I'm still a big believer in networking because people do want to have trusted relationships, but I do hear your point. It's a very, very valid point, actually, around, level playing field, fair, equitable. We could have a very large discussion about this. Maybe the whole recruiting community needs to do that. Sandra's actually a recruiter. Sandra, do you have comments on this?
Good morning. Yes, and for example, I was in discussion several months ago with a friend, and we were talking about that. And yeah, so she was less likely to. She was unwilling to kind of do it wasn't even a referral, but yes, if I hear of something, I will let you know. And then I thought about it, and I was like, huh. And I said, okay. I didn't have a discussion back with her, but that's just her perspective. And you have to do what you feel comfortable. Also, another thing is there are government laws and reports and things in place to help mitigate some things where it might be termed an unfair advantage. So speaking of, there's a Office of Federal Contract Compliance, OFCCP, and that applies to government contractors, folks that do business and receive grants and work from the government. So what they have to do, just briefly, they have to provide documentation. If you have 50 plus employees, if you have more than 10K in business with the federal government, you have to supply information on your hiring practices. So for example, do I have 7% veterans? Do I have 11% Native Americans? And that information is going to be based on where you're doing business. So if I'm doing business in Alexandria and then I'm doing business in Baltimore, my population base is different. So my percentages are going to be different. So let's say if you have a very robust employee referral program where employees get money or don't get money if they refer prospective employees. Sometimes I've been in an environment where I had to look at it and say, our base of employees is not in line with what is legally required from OFCCP. And part of that may be because we have a lot of referrals. And so what HR has to do in partnership with leadership is make that data available so that we're all accountable. If I'm not sharing it with the hiring team or with the CFO, then they don't know that. But that is also a way to help mitigate that. I know that was kind of lengthy, but I hope that helps.
Yeah. And trust me, I am all for, diversity, equity, inclusion. But there's another human element of this. And I was in HR for a long time, hired a lot of people. I want to hire the best qualified candidate that I can. And if I look at a resume and I interview somebody, that's great. But I have not really seen those people actually do the skills and, that needed to be done. And if I have somebody refer me, comes to me and said, I saw your job description, Vern, and, Sandra is somebody I work with, and I've actually seen her do all of these. And now let me give you some examples of how she had outcomes that would be exactly what you need. Do you think that's going to influence me in terms of my hiring decision? It certainly is.
Well, and I got to tell you that the opposite happens too. First of all, look at references. Okay, employers still check references, and references are subjective. It's a person talking about what they think of your background. In fact, yesterday I was talking to an employer who interviewed a candidate, and once the candidate, the interview was done, the employer was talking to another colleague, meaning somebody else, another staff person in her organization who used to work with this candidate. And that person said about this candidate, well, she's kind of a gossip and da 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 da. And it influenced the employer. And I said to the employer, I'm like, look, you cannot use that one data point, if I could even call it a data point, because it's just hearsay, which is subjective, in making your decision. Keep interviewing this person, keep vetting this person, check, do what you got to do. But that's just one person saying one thing about this, about this candidate. So, look, hiring is a subjective thing. This is not looking for a Consumer Reports tested toaster oven. Okay. People are people. And they're dynamic and they're unique, and people have all kinds of opinions. The employer is going to have opinions, colleagues are going to have opinions, references are going to have opinions, you're going to have opinions, right? And so everybody does the best they can to try to make the right fit, because at the end of the day, and I talk about this all the time, employers are trying to minimize their risk in the hire. Part of how they do that is they want people to validate their decision. Sometimes that happens on the front end in terms of a referral. Say, hey, somebody recommended Dietmar. Hey, you should interview Dietmar. Then it's, what does the hiring manager think? What do the colleagues think? What does the CEO think? Blah, 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 blah. What do the references think? And they try to put all of those pieces together to decide if you're a good fit, right? Because again, they're a person and you're a person, and there is a lot of subjectivity around that anyway.
Yeah, I want to say is I hired myself referred candidates, so it's not that I'm against that concept. But it's I see the difficulties in the process too, and that may be particular in organizations who, particularly federal government, it doesn't work, and it may not work in some association environments where they follow strict process and so on, EEO and all these things.
Yeah. It's a complicated system that we have, that's for sure. And it's not perfect. Let's put it that way, right? We're all trying to learn as we go in terms of what's appropriate. Yeah. But thank you for bringing that up, Dietmar. That's very, very thoughtful of you.
Yeah.
Other questions, other thoughts? Any best practices, anything that's worked for you in your search that you'd like to share? All right.
Yeah,
Kelly?
Yeah, so I just started looking this past week, and I changed. I know we had this talk before, open to network. And then I said, do you want to go out to your network? Boom. And I did that at 12 o'clock at night on Saturday. I already had 3 people hit me up.
Yeah.
Like doing that one, and then got a potential offer like the next day. And I got to find it, vet it out. But it's You know, to me, I can't emphasize, you know, yeah, is it fair? No, but, you know, by having someone walk you through the resume, walk your resume to the hiring manager, or they go on the job board, see if you see anything on our company, apply, then let me know. And I applied for 4 jobs for a company that this guy goes, yep, got it all taken care of. I'll talk to my boss and, you know, we'll get you, hopefully get you the interview. After that, it's up to me what happens to me, but I can't emphasize how important it is for, you know, throwing out there. And if you change your thing to open network, I'm not ashamed of being unemployed. It is what it is. Life goes on.
So Kelly, let me explain to
Yeah.
people what you're talking about. And
Oh,
by
I'm
the way,
sorry.
that's okay. That's okay. Kelly, just so you know, when you and I had that conversation back,
Yeah. Oh, I know.
how long ago, you changed my mind, just so you
I
know.
know.
I'm now a proponent of it. So, what
Yeah.
Kelly's talking about, in fact, I'm going to go ahead and pull up Kelly's profile so that, because Kelly said that he now has it. Let me go ahead and show you.
But the one thing is, though, in the federal government, you can't. It can help you, but I don't think they're allowed to take referrals, are they? In the federal government?
Are they allowed to take what, referrals?
Yeah, referrals.
My
like-
understanding is yes.
Okay, never
Yeah,
mind. Okay,
it's as much networking there as it is
Okay.
anywhere. Yeah,
never mind.
that's my general understanding.
Yeah.
So you see, everybody see this? It says open to work. Okay, so an easy way to do this is actually to do it on your phone. Okay, so if you have the LinkedIn app, actually, you don't even have to do it there. You can do it here. All right, so I'll go to my own LinkedIn and click on your picture to get to the editable page. Oops. And then you click on the open to and click on finding a new job. Okay. And then you're going to say, you're going to go down here. It'll say add a title. So what kind of work you're open to? So I'll just say recruiter. Okay. And then the area, start date, you could do one of these if you want, full time, and then it says add to profile. And then when you have to drop down in this list and it says, do you want everybody to see that you're looking? Okay. Or just recruiters only. So what it says, all LinkedIn members, this includes recruiters and people at your current company. So that means you'd have to be doing a full open search if you're open to people, if you are currently employed, for your colleagues to see you, or you could just say recruiters only. So I'll just say recruiters only. Actually, sorry, I'll put all LinkedIn members right now. I'll say add to profile. It's supposed to work. Sorry, it's being glitchy. Come on. Okay, something's up.
I think you got.
I think it's just being glitchy.
Yeah, I
Well,
think
anyway, you guys see the process,
boxes,
huh?
yeah.
Kelly?
You have to check all the boxes too.
Do you? Hold on a second. I'll just say this.
Yeah.
No, it's just, oh, select at least one job title. That's it. So I'll just say recruiter. There we go. Okay. And so now, see, now it has the button. Okay. And then if you want to take it out, just hit the pencil down here and say delete from profile.
If you do have a job, you can always put it on there, and then people go, what's going on? Oh, I don't know, something happened on LinkedIn. They changed this thing on there, and I got this thing on my thing. I thought I was open to network.
Yeah, I know. Open to work.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Take a jack, you know, but yeah. Anyway, sorry. But no, I tell you, man, it's powerful, and people are actually reaching out to me today, yesterday. Hey, I didn't know you're looking for a job. Let me see what I can do to help you out. And so one guy said, hey, send me your resume.
If you are an active
yeah, well, I got it, yeah.
that would be the time to do it. If you are not an active job seeker, if you're doing a confidential search, meaning you're currently employed and you don't want your employer to know you're looking, I would not recommend it.
No.
Be an active job seeker to do it.
And I don't know if I can allowed to say this. There's a lady that Patricia, her last name, she has a thing at 745, bulletproof your career.
Oh yeah, we've heard about this before. I keep forgetting her last name. Verboli?
Ramboletti.
Yeah.
She's
Someone can put her
phenomenal.
if you can put her in the chat box, that would be great.
Yeah.
And like I was on it last night. There's over 257 people on there.
Yeah.
And it's very, very powerful.
Yeah, I
and,
heard she's really good.
So where do we
Nothing-
go
nothing
to get
compared
that
to you, though.
information?
Can
Pardon me?
someone find her and put her in the chat?
Sure, I'll do that.
Is it a meetup.com group or?
No.
No.
Or is it's
She's-
her own
she's got
private
a
thing,
number-
right?
You have
got
to
a
go to her
number.
website and register.
Yeah,
Yes,
she's been
You
doing it
have
for
to send her.
200.
Yep.
Yeah, yeah.
Kelly, are you gonna post it?
I'm doing it right now, but I'm just saying
All right.
she's been doing this for 213 weeks straight. And now it's up to 213. I mean, there's over 250 people, and that's phenomenal. And she has little tips. She's great, and her book. And here, I sent you right now. Oops, tell her here.
All right.
She's
So
got
other,
some-
But nothing compared to Shira.
stop.
she
Please go
also-
everywhere you need to go.
I agree.
Yeah, she also has a YouTube video about networking, which was one of the best networking videos I've seen in terms of the statistics and the numbers around networking and how important it is. So.
There it is, everyone.
Thank you.
And she's, I mean, I actually talked to her before. Ray does. I referred her to CNM, and Bob loved her. And there's other name, Hannah Morgan too.
Yeah, Hannah Morgan's very good as well.
Yeah.
Yep.
Is it Career Sherpa? I think it is.
Yep, Career Sherpa.
And then Rob Jollis is another person.
Yeah.
He's phenomenal too, funny and great writer. I think he wrote 6 books, I think, if I'm not mistaken. So he'll do a 30-minute one-on-one with you at no charge.
It's Anna who? What was the last?
Rob Jollis.
No,
I'll
I'm
put
going
it
back
on-
to Anna. I'm sorry.
Kelly, the person prior to Rob, you.
Oh, Hannah. I'm sorry, Hannah Morgan.
Hannah with an H?
Oh,
Yes.
Hannah.
Hannah. Sorry about that.
Yeah. And
All right.
What's the name of her group again? Or
it's
It's,
just her company.
Yeah, it's called Career Sherpa.
She's an individual contributor. She actually used to work for Lee Heck Harrison, and my wife's cousin was her boss. And I have talked to Hannah a few times, but her information is very good. She's on top of everything in terms of career search. It's funny when I talk to her. She says, I really prefer to just provide information, and so she doesn't do a lot of career coaching individually, but she's on top of everything in the job search world.
Put that in there too.
yeah, can somebody put it in there?
It's already in there.
It's there,
It's already in
so
there.
he just put it in.
I'll put Rob Jollis too. So
And if other people have other resources, other groups, actually, so the other groups that I've mentioned on this call before, so we talked about CNM. Some of you may know about 40 plus. So it's 40plusdc.org, I believe. And then there's Career Confidence, career-confidence.org.
yeah, Robert Brandow.
Yeah,
Really
Robert
nice guy.
Randall. And then also JCA, which is the they have something called Career Gateway. I actually have a PowerPoint slide. I used to when I first started HMM here, I used to put this up, and I'm gonna put it up right now. And it has all the different groups. So
They actually have a virtual workshop thing. I think on September 20th. I think it is job fair, virtual job fair.
okay, so here's a list of the groups that we just mentioned. So here's CNM. You can take a screenshot of this, and you won't be able to click on the links, but you can at least see the you can type them out. 40 plus meets every Monday
through-
morning.
At 7. No, they switch it to 7 o'clock at night. if I'm not
Oh,
mistaken.
that's right. Somebody told me that. Thank you, Kelly. Yeah, so they switched. So 7 o'clock at night. Career Confidence, their main meeting is on Saturday mornings, but they have meetings all throughout the week. Career Network's main meeting is Tuesday night, but they have meetings throughout the week. POAC is here as the Maryland Department of Labor. This is another group called BANG. And then Career Gateway, that's the only one that there's a fee, but it's a very small fee. It's only $75. And it's a week-long program. It's not a Monday through Friday. It's like a Monday, Wednesday kind of a thing, all day long. And it's a full job search boot camp for those who are interested in that. And they specifically target I think all are welcome, but they specifically target the 50 plus crowd for Career Gateway.
Also, there's a Women Technology. They're having a virtual job fair too. I heard about that. I think it's the 14th or 20th. I'm not sure.
yeah, that's right. They are. It was emailed to me.
Yeah. all I can say is, I was out of work for about a year and I helped out, learned all these people, learned a lot of great things, overwhelmed a lot, but, take bits and pieces. But, and then I always tell people that, people in the Hollywood squares, reach out to them, find out what their best practices are, work together, and I think I helped Ty out with getting a job.
So let's also, I've done this once in
Sorry.
a while, but I think it might be good to do since we're talking about networking right now, is let's go around the circle. Let's go around the Hollywood squares. And I'd like everybody to say what you're looking for on 2 levels. Okay. So number 1, what kind of job you're looking for. So what I call it your lane, right? So you're looking for a job in accounting or customer service or membership or financial services, or, look what you're looking to do. But then also if you have an industry or a mission, a sector, I call it a community. So let's say you are looking for an accounting position within the nonprofit sector. You're looking for an HR position in the for-profit sector. You're looking for a customer service position in the commercial real estate sector. Like if you do have a sector, not everybody does, but if you do, I'll go ahead and mention that. So at least mention what you're looking for if you have a sector. And if there's a specific, company or organization that you've been trying to get into, you never know, right? We've been talking about networking. People on this call might know people who can give you some advice or some referrals. So I'm just going to go around the room here as I see, just as people are laid out, and I'll say who's first, and I'll say who the next person is, so you can be prepared. So it's going to be Ty and then Dietmar.
Good morning. My name's Ty Smith. I'm looking for customer service, member services, and the association, financial world, or healthcare.
Dietmar?
Good morning,
and then Maggie.
My name is Dietmar Tietz. I'm a technology executive with comprehensive experience in the area of modernizing and transforming legacy information technology platforms. I'm focusing in my search on mostly nonprofit and also the federal government.
Okay, thanks. Maggie and then Shalom.
My name is Maggie, and I have been an executive director in the nonprofit sector for 20 plus years, and I'm looking to narrow my focus just to events, nonprofit, possibly for-profit. I know there's more I need to say in narrowing that down, but I haven't quite figured out how to say that without, I need to figure out how to say it more succinctly, but
It's good.
I don't even know how to say it, to tell you the truth.
It's good for now. You're looking to go from an ED role into focusing on in nonprofit events, right?
Specific events, yeah, not events is such a general, such a wide.
Good for you to think about and narrow down in terms of what kinds of events. And as you go through these kinds of networking calls, hopefully you'll get more and more clear.
Yeah.
Okay. Shalom.
I'm
And then
Sloan, and I am, my background is in executive legal support. I've been in that field for 30 plus years, and not to color outside of Shira's beautiful lines that she's created for us. I mean, if I'm staying in the legal field, that would be great, but I'm actually trying to cast my net broader because there are so many interesting companies. So I'm thinking about the legal field, but I'm open to any field where I can put my executive legal administrative or executive administrative skills to work. So yeah.
thanks. Sandra and then Pam.
Good morning. I'm Sandra George, and I have a background in human resources and talent acquisition in the government contracting space, and specifically for small employers or organizations, 250 employees or less, and commercial and nonprofit.
Thanks. Pam?
Did you want to say who's after me, Shira?
Oh, Kelly is after you.
Okay, great. My name's Pam Bernards, and I have been in education most of my career. I am looking really to learning and development, and also specifically around the topic of leadership development. So, I would love it, either a job within a company doing that, or doing it on my own as a consultant. So that's where I'm headed.
Kelly, then Dana.
Morning, everyone. My name is Kelly Nugent. I am looking for an outside or inside account executive or business development position in the IT community. Was in there for 20+ years and want to pivot back into there. I tried some other industries and I want to get back into IT. So Kelly Nugent, business development or inside or outside account executive, inside or outside account executive position. Sorry about that. Too much coffee this morning.
That's okay. Dana, then Gerald, or Jarrell, right? Jarrell.
Hi, good morning. My name is Daryl Hannah Perla, but you can call me Dana. My background for the past 16 years is with operations, program, project management in the learning and development space. Some call it talent development. So ideally, a PM role in a talent development department or industry, because I observe that it's really what brings me joy. So I'm looking for that certain role. And I'm glad to meet everyone here.
Thanks. Jarrell and then Scott.
Hello, everyone. I'm Jarrell Saunders. I'm looking for a finance executive role. I can do many financial roles, but typically my specialty is in financial planning and analysis. And so those are the type of positions that I'll be looking for. Jarrell Saunders, I'm glad to be here, learning a lot from all of you. Thank you.
Thanks. Scott and then Sil.
Good morning, Scott Boudreau, Certified Planning and Inventory Management, looking for a supply chain job in central New Jersey or remotely specializing in inventory control or production planning. If it has a part number, I can manage it. If it doesn't, I'll create one. Scott Boudreau.
And then Sil.
Hello, everyone. I am an award-winning federal employee at an agency in the DC area. I work on like supplies, ordering the supplies as a supply manager. I'm also a contract liaison. I help other contracting officer representatives get their extensions done for their contracts and help them troubleshoot when they have issues with their contract. So right now, I'm not looking for anything. I just love coming to these meetings just to gain information. You know, I love everything, job searching, job stuff, employment. Yeah, I'm obsessed with it. So thanks for letting me share.
Sure, absolutely. All right, good, good, good. So any other questions before we wrap up today?
Share, not a question, but I just wanted to mention to everyone that I did post in the chat, Career Network Ministry, which has been mentioned previously in the call, does have accountability teams. It's a 10-week, I won't call it a course, I call it a program. And it goes through each of key topics related to job search each week. Also is another great opportunity for networking. And if you're interested in signing up for one of those teams, the form to sign up is there in the chat. And a person named Gail Crockett, who is one of our senior leaders, or Michelle Carpenter will reach out to you and help get you placed in one of those teams. And I'm happy to chat offline if anybody has any questions.
So I've got one more thing. If you're challenged on interviewing, there's a guy named Kevin Conifee who has a practice interview from 2 to 4. He's tough. I call him the what was his I don't know, I forget the nickname, but he's great. But then he also has a thing at 5:30. But he's tough, but he's great, and we all critique each other on the interviews, and he's phenomenal. And yet you have to send him an email to get the link, but he's phenomenal. So,
Ty?
If you come to that Tuesday night group that CNN has, he will invite you till the Tuesday afternoon group. He suggests that you come Tuesday evening if you can first.
But if you want to send me, if you want to send me an email, I'll just send you the email he sends on Sunday morning.
Kelly, you want to put your email address in the chat box?
Yeah, it's already in there. All my contact
Okay,
is in there. Yeah.
Great.
But he's really good, but he's tough.
So I can't seem to get to the accountability stuff for Career Network Ministry. I know the lady just talked about it. I couldn't get the Google form to come up.
It wouldn't open? Okay.
No, she came late. She came late. That's why. I think, if I'm not mistaken. It's in there. I saw it earlier.
Yeah, it's in there. Yeah, but I tried to
I
click
can
on.
drop it in again if you can't see it. Let me just repost it.
All right, thanks.
Oh,
Sure.
yeah, Kevin Conf, he's the Simon Cowell of interviewing.
Oh, wow.
Tough love, huh?
Oh, yeah, very much so. Sorry.
But that's good, you know, it's good.
No, he's
to get
phenomenal.
good feedback.
Okay.
All right, so any other questions before we close out? All right, well, invite your friends. And again, and I want to make this, again, I said it earlier, but now that everybody's here, when you signed up with the Zoom registration link for this meetup, you only had to do that one time. You do not have to do that every week, okay? It's the same URL. It's going to last for the next year or so, actually till the end of June. So just save that link. That's all you need. You don't have to keep registering. Okay.
Does everyone know how to save the chat?
I think I do.
Yeah, if you click on the chat box and go to the three boxes, the three little dots, you can hit save chat.
And has all the information everyone put in there.
Thanks for that reminder, Kelly.
No problem. Sorry I jumped in like this, but you know me.
And also, I do post these. I usually forget to mention this. I do post all of these recordings on my website under if you go to purposefulhire.com and then go to the Hire Moment Mastermind page. I'm going to show it here right now. It'll look like this. Okay, so here's the page. So you go to purposefulhire.com, go to Hire Moment Mastermind, and then scroll down here. And you'll see all the recordings. Sorry, I've been a little lax on the ones in August, but we started in August of 2020. So it's all the way back, okay? So all of these are hyperlinked. So feel free to watch them, share them, what have you. Okay, and I will, I'll put that in the chat box as well. Because we're all about resources here. And while I'm looking at my website, let me show you one more thing. I have shared this with folks before, and that is there are a whole bunch of videos on my website that are free. So again, purposefulhire.com, and go to the job seeker tab, go to Shira Speaks to Job Seekers, scroll down here, and all of these are hyperlinked. In fact, this one, Accessing the Hidden Job Market, is what I'm going to be presenting on Tuesday at CNM. Okay. You can click on any you want. And they're all speaking engagements at job seeker groups like CNM 40+, that kind of thing. All right, so as per usual, we're going to close out now, but I am going to stay online for anybody who would like to join me for a short prayer call. I will be doing that shortly. And for everyone else, look forward to seeing you next week. Have a blessed day, everybody.
Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.